The sport is the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. Some really bad times, some amazing times. In rugby, you have other people you can fall back on. You're on your own when you walk into that cage. Gloucester was some of the best times in my life and my rugby career, and some of the worst in my life and my rugby career. I came in under the Nigel Davies regime when he first came, made a massive impact in my first season, loved it there. A few difficulties the next year because I dislocated my shoulder in pre-season, which is never a nice thing. And Nigel left and we had changed the management. And halfway through that season, dislocated the shoulder again, and it was a bad year, the last one, yeah. And then I went on from there. I got a contract in Munster. I was there for 3 months for World Cup cover. I was kind of like, right, what am I going to do now? I heard about this. I always had an interest in MMA and UFC. I applied for it, got the trials, made the tryouts, and got selected to do this.
I went to where it was my brainchild back in 4 or 5 years ago now. The idea was I was going to take one person, they'd have to agree to train for 6 months with me, and then they had to fight at the end. And that's how the series started. Mixed
martial arts is going through a massive boom worldwide, but most definitely in Ireland, without a doubt, to do with Conor McGregor and his rise, and John Kavanagh, who's our head coach and went to Warrior, is one of the main masterminds behind that.
I've trained quite a few rugby players actually, and in my experience, rugby seems to cross over to mixed martial arts quite well. They're both very competitive, they're both very tough, so certainly when you get an athlete like that, you don't have to spend any time on trying to kind of harden them up or toughen them up. They already have that.
Since week 1 I was kind of working with Shane doing one-to-ones. It's been like an average guy coming from a rugby background, and now he's like an athlete. He's like a fighter now. So from rugby player to MMA fighter in 22 weeks is pretty amazing.
To match Shane was a bit of a nightmare because you're dealing with people who hadn't trained in a long time, and then suddenly I have this monster come in and he's a very good athlete. But we did match him and we got a really good opponent for him. And then last Saturday, he's at home, and at 3 in the morning he hears his car being broken into. He runs down, he gets dragged down the road, and then the car turns around and runs him over. So he was out of the fight.
So I'm left a week before my fight with no opponent, and to get someone on short notice is very difficult.
However, I do have a number of gyms around Ireland, and one of them had a heavyweight. He's actually quite experienced. He's had a few amateur fights. He actually holds the UK title. So it's definitely going to be a big challenge for Shane.
He stepped up for the fight, so I thank him first and foremost before I go in and beat him.
Shane has a physical presence about him and a mental toughness.
Shane has the skills, he's mentally there, he's a great athlete, so I can see it going Shane's way.